person who helped us write the first pamphlet in the series was a famous journalist, is a famous journalist, Anne Shearer, and she had a sentence in the first thing we wrote about an ordinary life, which said, we want to see people with disabilities living in ordinary houses and ordinary streets, mainly alongside other members of their community. So I was really interested that 30 years on, Paradigm Sally decided to try and take this simple idea and use it again.
Played Safe Airways, and it was telling us about just the importance of taking risks in life and giving his own thing. So this is Mark kind of parachuting down to feeling Goodsville, which is very close to Confidence City. Mark said actually taking risks kind of makes them feel confident, and makes them feel good when you take these risks. And I think we were talking about just that whole sense of we often operate in a world where taking risks are really frowned upon. There's a real kind of risk-averse culture, and it's what kind of makes us feel alive. When we just go a little bit beyond what we sometimes think we can do. So how do we create the opportunity for people to feel confident, to feel good, to experience?
I'm not sure there's a voice or a collection of voices. I was talking the other day with Sally about the need for a chorus. And I'd watched the programme on television about the kind of the workplace choirs, and I think I've got the notion of that in my head. We need a chorus to sing about the other things, the most important things, and I suppose I thought this work might be part of that.
My concerns, I like what you said about the sort of chorus of having some voices that kind of are singing about the good stuff, is that we are becoming a bit obsessed with contracts and framework agreements, and it does seem as though there's a race to the bottom in terms of social care with all the cuts and everything that are happening, and it's time to go back to basics and make sure we don't lose what it is we need to be really good at.
We want to help people, including Jackie, to be well connected with family, neighbours, and with supporters, so they can live their life. So ensuring more people achieve what Jackie has achieved, and the next generation of people, is what we're here for. So that was one kind of connectedness. And then an issue got very good eyesight, it's all kinds of small people, but the notion of kind of choir around the country, supporting each other to come together to make this difference.
You can talk the talk, but it's doing the action at the end of the day and getting solutions and results, and I really like solution and results, and I think all three of them made it happen for people with learning disability and their families.
It's really important because we're in great danger, I think, of losing what it actually takes to get solutions for people and to make change happen. And the weird thing about that to me is that a lot of the difficulties that we put in our own way come from our desire that people be safe and that people have good lives and that people have choices. So in the name of doing all these good things, we've ended up tying ourselves in knots. Being able to notice that and see what we can do to keep from being all tied up is a really...
Look at this stuff from the outside and complain about it. It's another thing to say, hang on, how are we... We'll have more options for action if we can say, gee, there might be things that we're actually doing that make this more complicated or that make this work. And the more of us who can kind of see how we're part of what's creating the trouble, the more options we've got.
Sally and David have been kind of working on this idea to create ways to connect people, both locally and across the UK, and that'll allow people to share what it is that they're struggling with and what it is that they're finding helpful to move forward. And that network of people create local action in 42 or more specific places, and that we figure out how to collect that, what comes from that local action to create a national message. So connect, share, shape, that's the idea.